let's jump right into the SC4T. SC is for Southfield Classics, right? And most people would recognize looking at that car as a GT40 replica.
Correct.
So, have you driven that car? What's it like getting into a GT40 replica that is EV?
It is pretty crazy, pretty incredible. So first of all, GT40s are notorious. They're small cars. They're hard to get in and out of. Once you get in it, you're basically laying inside the car, which is typical of a GT40. But the acceleration for the electric, so we do a rear drive unit on these GT40s, has about 1,200 foot-pounds of torque.
Wow.
Short axles. The axles are only about 18 inches long on each side. So it pulls tons and tons of torque. So it's like a jet airplane taking off. When
Hmm.
you accelerate and you hit the acceleration on it, it will actually set you back in the seat like you're taking off in a jet. And I tell everybody, it's like once you ride in it, you will think it's going to take off. It's like if it had wings, it would probably fly.
So, what does it have under the hood to get you there?
So we
Starting with maybe
use
like the motor or
Yeah, so we
controller.
use Cascadia Motion Motors, which is a division of Borg Warner. We're using what's called an IDM 190, which is it sits sideways in the back. Basically, it's 300 horsepower, about 1,200 foot-pounds of torque. It runs a transaxle in it. It's already attached to it.
Okay.
Like I said, it has short axles, about 18 inches long on each side, so it'll push pretty wide tires. Then we run the Ampere EV battery pack system. It's the Atom Drive system that they offer. It's a three-pack system, which offers up about 150-mile range, which equivalent to about 20 laps on about a mile and a half lap on a mile and a half track. So we can get about 20 laps before we have to charge. GT40s that we build, it has a Freon chiller to keep the battery packs cool, so you can hammer them on pretty fast.
Hmm.
Top speed right now is around 160, 165, 170 miles an hour.
Wow.
0 to 60s are about 3 seconds, 3.2 seconds. So give or take. So it's very fast, super fast track car. Our prototype car that we built now is very good handling. And it gives you that sensation that you're driving a GT40, except you don't have the noise. So it's for a lot of drivers, it's kind of disorienting because you don't have to shift and you don't have that motor noise to gauge how you're accelerating and decelerating. So it's a different driving experience for sure on the track.
What sort of motorsport heritage and experience are you guys bringing to Southfield Classics to be able to even build something like that?
So our owner is actually a Ferrari Challenge driver. He runs the 296 Challenge car this year. Last year he ran a 488. So we've all been in the car business for, many, many years. Track wise, our main builder, our fabricator out there for our new chassis for the GTs, he's been doing it for 20 years. So we've got plenty of track experience. Our shop is actually just 15 minutes from Road Atlanta here outside of Atlanta, Georgia. So we're right there at the track. We're part of the club, track club. So we get out to test and we do everything at the track. So
So when you were building this car, were you guys benchmarking it against another GT40, or were there some other cars that you were benchmarking against?
no, what we decided is that we were going to make it electric, of course, and then we're going to see what it would do. We're going to say, all right, let's put it all together, let's build it, and let's actually see what the performance is like. We don't
Yeah.
use any, like test, any other kind of systems. So we're trying to prove out the system that we have, which is the Cascadia motion and all that. So we weren't they have, of course, all these engineering diagrams, and this is what the torque curve is going to be, and this is what it's going to react at 60 miles an hour or 90 miles an hour. We took those and we said, okay, well, let's see if we can duplicate that in real life. Number one, which is a big deal for all the race guys, like, look, it looks good on paper, but does it actually perform?
Yeah.
So what we want to do is say, all right, let's take this and let's take it out and track it and see if it actually performs as they say. It ended up actually doing a lot better than what they had predicted, uh,
Really?
with a lot more torque than what they expected. Our torque curves, because of the weight ratio, weight to torque ratio and speed ratio, it actually ended up being a lot faster than what they expected.
How heavy is the car?
So the car is 2,100 pounds.
Ooh, that's light.
Yeah, super light, and like I said, it's a GT40 replica, so it has the aerodynamics. Those are some of the things. Like now, we're building some splitters to help hold it on the track a little bit better, to try to address some of those sliding issues and traction issues that we have because of the weight of the vehicle.
But it already must handle the corners pretty well, which is great for an EV. They tend to be chunky.
Correct. This one, because of the weight distribution, how we divide, how the battery packs are actually set in the vehicle and the motor, the wheelbase, how we scaled it out, everything is pretty much built to handle. We use some suspension components that allow for good travel under that body, which is just, like I said, it's a smaller body, but it actually handles really well.
Was there something in this build that was actually pretty easy, but you were prepared for it to be hard?
On both the trucks and the GT, it was what we found out is that the battery packs that Ampere EV provides are the same weight as basically a fully dressed 350 Chevrolet motor.
Really?
So the weight is the same. Um, so like on the GT, where the motor was actually behind your, the or over the rear wheels or right behind the driver, we were able to put the battery packs there and it actually weighed and scaled out just like a normal GT40 would. So that was surprisingly a lot easier than we had planned. We thought we were going to have to do a lot more development in that area, but it actually turned out that it making some bracketries, designing some brackets, stuff like that was all pretty simple comparatively.
I love getting lucky like that.
Yeah, we got very lucky.
So this car, if someone was to ask you, like, who is it really for? How do you envision people using that car? What is your vision for people who have this GT40 replica?
So for the GT40 replica, basically we're going to offer two versions. So we have the track version, which you can buy that's strictly a track car that you can take out on vintage track days, run around your local track, like if you're near Road Atlanta or whatever. Drag cars, so they're super fast straightaway cars. But we're also doing a street version as well. So our vision is to have a track vehicle and a street vehicle one you could drive every day, show off to your buddies, and then take it out on the track whenever you want to. So.
Oh, that sounds like the perfect weekend warrior right there.
That's it. That's what we're looking for.
So when you were first developing the GT40, were you already thinking about getting that EPA certification from the get-go?
Well, it all started with the trucks. So the 3100 Chevrolets that we're doing, the SC31Ts, our total
Like
goal
right
from the
behind you.
yeah, which is right behind me. The total goal from the beginning for us was we didn't want to be a retrofitter. Like I said, I've been in the business for a long time as a builder. What we wanted to be was a manufacturer. And what that requires is basically that you have to use all new parts for everything. Everything has to be brand new. The body parts, the frame, chassis components, everything on it has to be brand new. All part of that EPA certification process. Those are things that NHTSA requires. So you have to have the EPA certification, the range test on your electric motor to find out exactly how far it goes with the battery packs that you have installed with it. So our initial thought process was, all right, well let's do it this way. Instead of trying to find a GT40, an original GT40, or try to find a 1950 Chevrolet truck that we don't have to spend thousands of hours doing the body work. Let's just build them from scratch and make them brand new. We were able to acquire from a company the molds to do the fiberglass bodies for the GT40, something I
Wow.
found when I first came on here. So we were able to acquire that portion of it. That gives us the GT40 body that is a replica and it's a certified replica body. And then the chassis for us on the GTs and on the trucks, basically, we build them from scratch. We get the tubing
Wow.
in, the chromoly tubing for the GT40s. The initial prototype was all aluminum chassis on that, all aluminum frame that we built from scratch. And we put them all together that way. So for the EPA and for the certification, to be NHTSA certified, to be able to issue VIN numbers, we have to do everything brand new.
From a car fan perspective, that's really interesting. And you get the brand new parts and you don't have to deal with things, the remediation of an old car. But what do you think from a brand new consumer who's maybe not a gearhead? What does that EPA number mean for them when they're just looking to buy a car?
Yeah, I mean, if they're looking for something cool that they can take to the car shows, that they don't have to worry about, the gas burner problems, that don't start when you turn the key. It leaks oil everywhere, or you have to constantly tune to make sure that it's going to run properly. If you got to go, 100 miles or whatever to a car show, 100 miles and back to a car show, you've got to, tune it and change the way that the airflow mixture is if you're going into altitude. With an electric vehicle, electric resto mod, electric GT, basically it's get it and go.
Hmm.
You drive it, you get to your destination, you show your car, you come back home, you pull it, you plug it up, and you're done. It's basically what I say, wash and go.
Wash and go.
That's right. So for a lot of consumers that are out there now, and a lot of your hot rod guys, they're getting a little bit older now. The guys that we built them all. Like for me, I built them my whole life. Now I'm at the age where I drive that truck and I'm like, you know what? This still feels like a 1950 resto mod truck, but it rides like a brand new car. So it's really cool.